Greetings, my beautiful people. This is Holly. I am Queenship coming to you with another episode of Queenship Quarters podcast. And today, on our Culturally Speaking series, we're going to be talking about a rising issue that we are seeing not only in the country, but really in our community. Our Black community, a lot of us are having parents that are aging, and we're finding out that we are flipping the roles and making sure that our parents are okay and caring for our aging parents. And so today's guest is my good friend, my sister, T. We call her T, but Terissa Thomas, and we just want to welcome her in on the podcast today. So welcome, T.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for being a part. I wanted to have T on because for those who know her, she does a phenomenal job with her mother. She's cared for her mother. She'll go into how long that has been, but just on the outside looking in and seeing how I don't know how she balances it. That's what we're going to find out. But from what I can see and what other people can see, she does such a great job. So I wanted to get her expertise because she's living it day to day on what that looks like with her personally, with her within her marriage, her circle, her extra time, what that looks like. So we're going to get into caring for our aging parents today. So T, how long and when did you start having to care for your mother?
I took mommy in probably about 4 years in May. It'll be 4 years in May.
4 years. And what was, if you can tell us, what was her diagnosis or what had happened to get you to the situation where you had to care for her? And how old is your mom?
My mom was 73. She had 5 strokes when she was with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
What basically made me step in is the fact he wasn't really taking care of her.
Okay.
He was going out of town, leaving her home by herself. My mom was legally blind.
Oh, okay.
During that time, she could still walk some, but she was a fall risk.
Mm-hmm.
So she would be in that house all but 6 hours out of the day by herself.
Oh, wow.
So that
after having strokes.
After having the stroke.
Did she have effects from the stroke?
She's her one side is like, and like I said, she's blind.
Oh, wow.
If something was to happen, she wouldn't have been able to get out the house by herself.
Exactly.
So with that being said, we battled back and forth, and I just made a decision. One of those times that he went out of town, I went and took her.
You went and just got your mama. Just say, I'm going to get my mama.
I went and took her. He called me, and about a week later, and asked me, did I have her?
A week later.
And I said, yes, I do. He said, when I plan on bringing her home, I said I wasn't.
Mm.
He called the police and reported her missing.
Mm.
And I talked to a detective, explained what was going on. He talked to my mother, and she was like, I'm fine. I'm with my daughter. I'm okay.
Mm.
And he told me that I would not have any more contact with the husband. Next contact was lawyers.
Really? Now, the legal end of that, do you have to get guardianship for something like that?
I have power of attorney over her medical and financial. But there's nobody else to fight me.
You're the only child?
I'm only child.
Wow.
So it's outside of him. Once I got them divorced, there's nothing he can do or say, and there's nobody else to.
Because outside of her having the strokes, mentally she was pretty much okay to say what she wanted to do, right?
At that particular time. Yeah.
Wow. So you said lawyers. So with him leaving like he was leaving, was it an in-house nurse coming?
She came for 6 hours a day.
And then the rest of the time she was by herself. But he wanted to fight for that.
He felt that she didn't deserve his money.
Oh.
And they were married for 24 years.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So now once you got, I want to try to see if we can see a timeline. So once you took her in, you had to first get a power of attorney, right?
Mm-hmm. I took her on a Friday. I had already set up for a lawyer So like that Monday, I took her to meet with the lawyer.
Okay.
We sat down and talked about everything, and she automatically drew up the power of attorney papers so that I could take care of her financial, change addresses, get all of that stuff going, her medical, everything,
Yeah.
because they will most likely they want to talk to the person. Mom doesn't talk very clear.
Okay.
So she may understand what you're talking about, but she may not be able to answer you,
Wow.
very well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she, with her being blind, she can't sign.
Can't sign anything.
Right. And so I'll have to read everything, make sure that, everything is straight and sign for her. So for me to be able to legally do that, I had to become her power of attorney.
Is that a long process, or is it just drawing up the paperwork?
They have online stuff, but I don't. My lawyer suggested not to do that. She said, get you a lawyer. And it literally was signing papers. They turn it in and I got it right back.
So, T, this was really a learning experience for you on this sort of realm of legal type of paperwork and document. Was that sort of stressful time for you, or it was like autopilot because this is my mama, and then hindsight, it was sort of stressful?
It wasn't really stressful because the only part that concerned me was just getting her divorce away from that situation. Outside of that, I could really, it was weird because like I've never been through a divorce.
Yes.
That's
true.
I've never been through a divorce. So I learned, the different, but he didn't really fight.
Okay.
Once he really talked to his lawyer and they was like,
man,
bruh, you're gonna have to fork over whatever because just way of life alone, because she didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So that alone, you got
to.
Right.
That's the way her life was all those years.
Right.
So now you say it's been 4 years. So walk me through a little bit of what it looked like over the transition. Was she sort of? I know at first she said, "I'm okay with my daughter," but what does a day to day look like with your mom, and compare from the beginning until now?
Okay, when I first got her, she could walk some.
Okay.
She could feed herself. She was so high forwards, but long as you stayed with her, kept your hands on her and guide her, because of course she can't see, so you had to guide her where she needed to go with the walker. She could do that. Okay. Over time, we had, like, when I first got her, her blood sugar level was like sky high because he was giving her whatever.
Yeah.
Her blood pressure was sky high because he was giving her whatever.
Yeah.
So
died all messed
up. Like she was bloated and backed up basically. When I first started giving her water, she was like, I haven't had water in years. So her body had to go through like a detox.
Excuse that, people. There's just household stuff. Just keep talking.
So her body basically had to go through a detox process. It was throwing up diarrhea, different things like that. So it was kind of scary at first because I was like, am I doing the right thing here?
Right.
As far as her diet and stuff like that. But like I said, once I got all of that aspect straightened out, she started, her sugar got better. Her sugar is much better. When I first got her, she was like taking 4 shots a day, a long term plus 3 short terms every time she got ready to eat.
Wow.
She was on a bunch of unnecessary medication.
Oh, really? And she had a in-home nurse coming, right? Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
A CNA that was taking care of her.
Just caretaker.
Right, not nurse.
Okay.
But she was on twice a day blood pressure medication and a extra one on top of that. Well, along with the 4 shots, they had her on an antidepressant. They had her on some stuff for her stomach for being messed up because what they were feeding her.
Okay.
And acid junk.
Yeah.
It was so much. It was so much.
Wow.
Now she takes one blood pressure medicine a day. She takes one long-term shot a day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I don't give her that because it really just depends on what her blood sugar is looking like.
Okay.
But I check it often. Her blood pressure, blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is basically vitamins.
Okay.
A, B, C.
Through Z.
Yeah.
Through Z.
And of course, an aspirin a day and cholesterol medicine. Outside of that, she does not take. She was taking like 9-10 different pills,
Wow.
and like I said, all she takes now is like vitamin C, B12, just stuff like that.
So T, I have to ask you because you're not a nurse, you're not a lawyer, but this is your mama. So how has it been for you during this transition? Just getting acclimated to, okay, now my mom used to take care of me, now I got to take care of my mom. How has that been on you emotionally and mentally?
That's a different story.
Okay, I know it's a walk that you have to sort of get adjusted to.
First, my mom did not raise me.
Okay.
I was raised by her mother.
Okay.
I took care of her till she was 107.
I remember that. Yes. Yes.
I went to school for a CNA.
Okay.
But it was a couple of things that kind of deterred me. One, when I was young, I was dumb and did dumb stuff. So I had a felony.
Okay. Okay.
Which at that particular time, they was doing heavily background checks. That's when they first started doing background checks.
Mm-hmm.
And real bad on the jobs, you know what I mean? And so I came back that I had that felony. At the time, you couldn't work in that type of environment because patients were getting robbed, CNAs was taking money, they was doing different kind of stuff. So I couldn't get the job. I felt like I had went to school for nothing.
Right, I got you.
You know what I mean? Like I wasted all this time and money and energy into getting it and doing it, and now I can't do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But with that being said, when I ended up getting my grandmother, all of that came into play. I'm glad. Everything happens for a reason.
It happens for a reason.
Apparently, God knew that I was going to end up having to take care of my family. Plus, I worked in nursing homes, and I know what goes on in these nursing homes.
Oh my goodness!
If you do not have to put your family member, friend, whoever in a nursing home, don't do it.
Wow!
If you can figure out a way to take care of them, do it yourself, because they don't care. It's a paycheck.
Yes.
It's that, and I mean, there are some, very few, not enough compared to how many it is out there.
Okay.
That will actually care and take care of it. They can only be there for so much. Yes. And then you got all the rest of them that, like I said, it's a paycheck. They don't give a darn about these people.
Wow. And you just reminded me of something. You did take care of your grandmother first. Yes. How many years did you take care of your grandmother?
5, I think.
And how old were you when you started taking care of your grandmother?
Oh my gosh.
Because the reason why I'm asked, because the percentage that I read in the African American community is an average around 44. That's when they start taking care of an elderly parent or grandparent. I think between 44 and 52, and I think the Hispanic community, Latina community, I think it was like 42, and then non-color Caucasians are higher. They don't start taking care of elderly parents until like late 50s, maybe early 60s. And I was trying to figure out and ask the question, why is that? And I think it also in that article was talking about how harder it is for people of color because of the disparity in income and having to take care of an elderly parent and the cost that comes with that. So you were in your 40s when you started taking care of your grandmother, or late 40s?
I was early 40s, I believe, because I'm at 30 when I was 37.
Okay.
And it was after that.
Okay. So in your like around what they're saying, around 44 or somewhere in there, and 5 years with her,
and then I got a couple of years free.
just a couple years free,
and
then you took in your mom. Oh wow! So again, getting back to you though, what do you or what can you tell our viewers about just dealing with that? Because it is, let's be real talk about it. It can get taxing, it can get draining. So how did you sort of balance and deal with it? And if you don't mind, talk about the hard part of it and how you sort of work through that.
When I first realized that I needed to take my mom, like I said, that was a hard decision because literally I had just got my freedom from taking care of my grandmother. I just started riding motorcycles. I had my, we was traveling, doing this and that, and so with that being said, I was like, am I willing to put my life on hold by trying to be funny, but for somebody that didn't do it for me?
Yes. Okay.
So, it was a hard decision, and honestly, my husband helped me. He was like, and I did. To be honest with you, I didn't rest well, knowing that she was there, and anybody, whether you're my mother, a friend, somebody I know. If I know something's not right, you're not being taken care of. Yes. I'm the type of person that if I can do something, I'm gonna try to do something.
That's right.
So with that being said, I knew things wasn't right over there, and it was really hard convincing her to come.
Okay, that's the follow-up question.
It was really hard getting her, because I was going to take her previously, and at the last minute she kind of backed out. And I understand, because you're married to somebody for 24 years, even though they not doing right by you, you still love them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I get it.
Yes.
But I'm not going to risk your life. Her doctor, when I finally took her and I took her to him, he was like, we was really worried about her condition. If y'all was so worried, why didn't y'all check deeper into what was going on?
Well.
But anyway,
yes.
I just stepped in, you know what I mean? And one thing about me, when it comes to my kids, my mother, my grandmother, when it's time to handle business, when it's time to I'll flip over a fiery barrel.
That's right. That's right.
To make sure I let stuff slide on me versus, any of my family.
That's right.
And my kids, they call me crazy lady because of it.
Yeah.
But I don't play about mine. Period. Because doctors out, husband in the hospital, acting plumb fool about mine.
That's right.
At any given time. So when it comes to taking care of them, you have to be their advocate. You have to be. It's like having an infant. My mother is totally bedridden. I do everything for her: wash her, feed her, dress her, everything.
Okay, so you talked about your husband. How if you are in a marriage and say you have to bring in your elderly parent, how does that affect the couple? And then what do y'all do in your experience to sort of make sure that doesn't weigh too heavy on you as a couple and the time that y'all need as well?
I don't know. It kind of seems to just fall into place, actually.
Because the spouse has to be supportive.
He does have to be supportive.
Okay.
And my husband is a special breed. Any day go away.
Yes.
When it kind of happened with my grandmother.
Yes.
And honestly, I didn't give him a choice.
Okay, I got you.
When I realized I needed to take my grandmother, because what happened is her son was taking care of her. He had a massive heart attack. He ended up in a nursing home. She was 103. 103.
I remember that.
102, 103. And she was still living in her own house.
I love it. She was this king still.
Right. So when I realized that I had to take her and my mother wasn't truly able to do it, I came home from the hospital and I looked at him and I said, Grandma's coming to live with us. He said, okay. But one thing from the day one of him meeting me, I was every single day of getting off work. My place was going to my grandmother's, making sure she was okay, making sure everything. So I've always been, may not been in the household with her because my uncle was there, but whatever needed to be done or whatever
he was used to, that was what was being done anyway.
Was already being done.
Okay.
It really made it honestly easier with her being in the household.
Gotcha.
And he became a part of the process. With my grandmother in the mornings, I've always worked through the whole thing. I have a 40-hour job. So with that being said,
I was gonna get to that too.
He'd get up, fix breakfast for my grandmother, make sure she's good. My mother is a little bit a different situation because she has to be fed and the way I have to do her food and stuff like that. But he will cook it for me. So when I go to work in the morning, I come home at lunchtime. I get her up, wash her, dress her, feed her breakfast, and then I go back to work. But he fixes the breakfast by the time I get there. It's about done. And I can go ahead straight into getting her together and then feed her. So we kind of tag team.
So it's a team thing. Teamwork has to be like in marriage.
It has to be.
It has to be teamwork.
I can't transport her by myself. He has to pick her up and go wherever we go. To get her in and out the car and put her in the wheelchair for me. So we just have to do what we
So what
do.
would you advice you would give other couples? What would you say as far as the one that has the parent or the elderly parent that's coming into the household, and for the spouse that has to support that? What kind of tools or what kind of suggestions would you give them if they're struggling with trying to figure this out? What can they do with each other or for each other?
First, let the person be able to vent, be able to talk about whatever is, going on, because that's taking care of somebody is mentally hard, not necessarily not all physical.
Okay.
Mentally, because you're constantly worried about, are they okay? And like my mom's condition, she can't always tell me what's wrong. She can tell me she don't feel good.
Okay.
But she can't tell me what is bothering her or how something is bothering her. So couples, y'all just have to be open with each other. Y'all have to talk with each other. Be patient. It really is hard. It's a lot mentally and physically. You have to take a break. Sometimes you have to get out. I still get out and I still go different places. I don't stay long. Because I have to get back home and make sure she's good. She can't get out the bed or get anything. So my real main concern would be something happening in my house, a fire or something.
So you and your husband still make time to maybe get out and do things as a couple too. That's important. That's important. You have to make sure that's a balance, because it can get to a point where the spouse is like, what about me?
True, because my husband every now and then he gets in his little self sometimes and be like, I think I'm the second thought, and I'll be like, babe, no, but you can do for yourself too. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta kind of have a balance in there. You can't burn yourself out on both ends.
Right.
This person has to be willing to be a little bit on that back burner.
That's true.
Because this person's everyday need and wants and everything is on you.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
So I have to be like, I gotta go.
I was just going to ask you, what does T do when it's like too much? It's too much coming from both ends. What do you do for self-care? What do you do?
Truthfully, I haven't done enough of it, any of it. I have been going and going and going, and I just recently had to pump the brakes a little bit and go and actually see about myself.
Okay, good.
I'm not young. I'm about to be 54 years old.
We the 54s.
So with that being said, I kind of ran myself down. You know what I mean? Not taking care of myself. A caregiver
Yes.
depression or
Yes.
stress or
Yes.
whatever, your burnout. That's what they
Yes.
call it.
Mhm.
A little bit of that, a lot of, just not doing it. I'm
Mhm.
getting ready to go on vacation, but it's some people's like that's not a true vacation because I still have to take my mom with me.
So when you go on vacation, sometimes you take your mother with you still.
Yeah. What am I gonna do with her?
Wow. So what does that look like? Okay, because have you done that before?
We went to North Carolina about a month ago.
Okay, so what did that look like? Did you drive, fly, what?
We drive. It's more convenient for us to drive. On Amazon or internet or whatever, they sell car air mattresses.
I did not know that.
So my whole back seat becomes a bed.
Wow.
I put her back there. I have a triangle type pillow that I propped against her, so she's sitting kind of up, but legs straight out, so they're not swollen from being down.
Okay.
And she sits back there and chill, and we drive.
Wow. Now, okay, I just want y'all. This is why I'm talking about how dynamic and how awesome she is, because I did not. I mean, I guess you would think that if you're going on vacation and they really need that care, you got to take them with you.
Right, unless you have a facility or someplace.
But most everyday people don't have that.
No, and touch a little bit on that. I just recently called. There's a company called Sequoia, which is fabulous with the elderly.
Okay.
I had it with my grandmother, but I didn't have it with my mother. All my mother has is Medicare.
Okay.
Medicare does not pay for crapola.
Okay.
Besides hospital, doctor, that type of situation.
But anything outside of that,
anything of like home health aides or pads, diapers, any of that extra stuff,
they don't. So that's another issue that probably needs to be addressed because our society is aging and there's no care or no help to assist in that. Okay.
Not with Medicare.
Not with Medicare. Okay.
Medicaid, there's a such thing as a Medicaid waiver, which I'm getting ready to sign her up for. So that would provide for a CNA to be able to come in. They're going to come to my house, evaluate all of her needs.
Okay.
What my schedules are and how that is going to work.
Okay.
Also, they provide diapers and pads and all of the stuff. I was paying for a CNA out of pocket. That's $450 a week, and she was doing that for me basically.
$450 a week. And that article I was reading too was talking about the cost of being they call them non-paid caregivers, which are most of the time family members, and all that's out of pocket. So a little bit with that. So you work 40 hours. Dirty works his 40 hours. I'm sorry. Works his 40 hours. So what time do you get up in the morning to go to your job? What does your day look like? I know you hit on it a little bit a few minutes ago coming home from lunch, but take us through a day for you.
I just recently changed my work hours schedule because it was a little hectic. Before, I used to have to be at work at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, which will require me to get up around 2:30, 3 a.m. We'll go in there, check on her, dry her, make sure she's dry because bed sores are real.
Okay.
That's the devil.
And I bet that's hard because you got to keep them turned.
You got to keep them dry.
And dry,
keep them turned. You got the pressure points, and it's a lot. So you have to make sure that. So I go in there, I get her dry, change whatever, get myself together, and go to work. It wasn't always working that way because some mornings you go in there, you don't know what you're coming into because she's incontinent totally.
Okay.
So you may have to wash her from head to toe and change her, the bed, everything.
Which immediately switches your time.
Which is going to change my time schedule. Okay. So, and I can't always judge it. So with that being said, I ended up changing my work schedule. I work 8 to 5. Well, now 7 to 5, so I can get my full 80.
Gotcha.
But I go in at 7. I work till approximately 10. I go home. I get her up, wash her up, dry her. Bed is generally pretty dry because I have tons of pads and all kind of stuff on her bed. So if I have to do any of that, I'm changing the disposable pads. But she has washable pads under that and all kind of stuff. Plus she wears a diaper, you know, and stuff like that. So I do all of that, get her back in the bed because she's not able to really sit up very well anymore by herself. So she's pretty much in bed all the time. I have a hospital bed, so it lowers and raises her.
Good.
You know,
now, was that provided for you?
That was through her insurance.
Okay. Okay.
So I got that in there, and she now I go get her food together. I sit there and feed her, give her whatever she's gonna drink.
Wow.
And then I go back to work and finish up at work, come back home and do pretty much that same process all over again.
Oh, before night?
Before night. Then there's another process at night.
So what's the process after you get in? What does that look like to get ready for the nighttime shift? So you do a day shift at work, a day shift with your mom, a night shift with your mom, and then fit in sleep somewhere. So what does night shift look like at home?
Well, when I get off work, I come home. Let's back up to lunch. I generally take out whatever I'm taking out for what I'm gonna cook for dinner at lunchtime.
Okay.
Make sure that's thawed out or whatever. Then when I come home from lunch, I go in there and get started on dinner. Check on her, give her some water or something to drink. Check her, make sure she's dry, but she's not. Because it's been a minute. So I go in there, get dinner together, feed her, give her straight. I generally sit down for a little while, watch some TV.
Yes.
Something like
just
that.
Just decompress from your day.
Just a hot minute. Yeah. Because generally, my husband, vice president of the motorcycle club, we have somewhere to go. Yeah, yes, something to do on the schedule. So with that being said, I go in there and make sure she's all good and settled for the night. She's pretty easy on the hands-on physical care. It's just a matter of, like I said, being there. I do a lot of ripping and running. I'll go to wherever we need to, and a lot of times I'll leave him, come home, see what's going on. I have cameras that I can look at what's going on in my house. Oh, good. While you're away, you can still watch. I can still look at my house and see, you know, what's going on. I have a living room covered and I have her bedroom covered. That's great. Right now. I end up getting more though. But that is pretty much my everyday process. I'm off on Sundays and Mondays, so I get to sleep in a little bit longer on those particular days. But generally, you're washing. I wash clothes every day because with things getting wet or whatever, you don't want that smell. Isn't this the parallel of when we had babies? Yes. That is something. It's that same thing. Exact same thing. Wow. Exact same thing. If you're a mother, yes, you've been through it. Except for now, this person is an adult. That's an adult. The best part with my mom is she's not disagreeable. She's always been the type with me. Okay. No matter what I say, she goes along with it. So it's not a battle along the way. It's not a battle. Because I've read in the article, it could be. It can be. Yeah. There's a TikTok guy, and his dad is hilarious to me because I know what he's dealing with. Right. And some people be like, he talks to his father so aggressive. No, sometimes you have to. So be firm. Be firm with them because it's depending on their level of dementia. True. They don't really know who you are anyway. True. You know what I mean? So who are you telling me and I'm grown. I raised you. You can't tell me what to do. Right. I'm going to do what I want to do. Yeah. I'm going to drive. I'm going to do some of that. And we got to keep in mind that they are struggling with the conflict themselves. That they see themselves deteriorating. They've been on their own all these years. And now to have to depend on not only just somebody, but their children, that's a conflict within themselves. Yeah, and they start dealing with depression with them. Yes. Because like my mom, I dealt with the depression of taking her from her husband. Yeah. That was a battle. Because she wanted to go home. And I had to explain it to her, Mom, you can't.
Did that ever come across as anger to you, or was it always
She's mad at
sadness?
him.
Oh, okay.
She's more mad at him because she feel like she's put in all this time and he was being
Not for better or for worse, not through sickness and health.
yeah, he had got a whole girlfriend.
Okay, well that's a whole nother podcast.
Whole story.
So that is so. I think I want our viewers to understand that it is such a parallel as a mother or a parent that has already had children, and now you're changing, you washing, you're carrying them to appointments, you're feeding. That just hit me how such parallel that is.
Yes, ma'am. And it's exhausting. It's
Yes.
tiring. A lot of time, like when she gets sick or something, I worry a lot because I'm wondering, did I do something wrong?
Right.
You know, if I gave her the wrong food, or
Right.
like she just had COVID.
Oh.
I still ain't figured out how she got it.
Yeah,
I don't have it. My husband didn't have it. Where did it come from?
Where did it come from?
So
wow, that's true.
Yeah.
Had to be somewhere in the doctor's office. If she goes to the doctor, oh, she hadn't gone to the doctor's office.
They come to us. So we have absolutely.
It's not.
Yeah. This COVID is crazy.
Yes.
Because I talked to a nurse at the hospital, and she was like, "You could have went somewhere and grocery shopping or anything, and then came home and up with your mom."
Yep.
And then I kind of thought about it. There was times that I would come home late night,
Mhm.
and then I would go instead of changing, because a lot of times I change into my night clothes and then I go check on it.
Right.
There was times that
you just come in,
get on in there and get it done, so I can fall into the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And that very well could have happened.
Yeah, you never
know
know
what I mean. But I didn't get a chance to get her vaccinated because she ended up with it. And then you have to wait so long before you can.
How did that affect her with her pre-existing? Was it bad on her?
She got really lethargic. Okay. I thought she had another stroke.
Okay.
Because she wasn't responding. She wasn't nothing. It's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I called her doctor. Her doctor came. Her color got bad. She did not end up on a ventilator. Good. She did not have to, they did put her on a little bit of oxygen. Mm-hmm. My job works really well with me when I need to take days.
I was going to ask you about that. It has to be, it's a blessing to be at a place of business with this sort of demand on your personal life that they work around that.
They're a family owned.
Okay.
And their father, he just recently passed. They were going a lot through the same. Even their father was in charge when I was taking care of my grandmother. Gotcha. So he understood.
Okay.
And then after grandma passed, then when I took my mom in, I went to them and I explained. I said, "Hey, I'm about to start doing this caregiver thing again. Mm-hmm. I'm taking my mom." They went through the process with me having to take off work to do, the lawyer thing, the doctor thing, get all of that stuff straightened out.
Do they give you that family leave thing? Does it apply?
No, they don't give me anything.
They just
agree to let me have it out without being no issue.
Okay.
They've worked with my hours. I may be late. I may have to call in if she don't feel good, and I'll be like, "Look, I don't really feel comfortable leaving her right now."
Yeah.
They understand. When I go home at lunchtime, there's times I gotta call back and be like, "Hey, y'all, I'm gonna call her doctor because she's not, she's not doing that great right now, or she's throwing up, or just whatever." Yeah. But they also know me. I've been here 15 years. They know if I can come to work and I can be there, I'm gonna be there. Mm-hmm. If I can make arrangements, if I can do this at this time, I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna come in, or I'm gonna come in early and I'm gonna go do. But my hours, they bounce around a lot, but I adjusted them now. Mm-hmm. I take 2 hours for lunch.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that would help. Minimum. I was just going to say, how does she do this in an hour time?
I take 2 hours, sometimes 2.5. It really just depends on what I have to do when I get home. Mm-hmm. So I go in at 7. I work till 10.
Yeah.
I come back 12, 1. So
Yeah. Wow. So you got a vacation coming up. She's going with you. You plan your vacation and things that you want to do and your spouse want to do that it might include her, or you just work it around like you do day to day, where you can sort of go away for a little bit, watch somebody maybe watch her, or you know it's enough time that you can be away that she'll be okay and then come back. How does that look on vacation? Because it's not in your
in
home.
my daily. To be honest with you, I really don't plan on doing nothing.
Right, just to get away and relax.
We got an Airbnb. It's me, my girlfriend, and her husband, and my husband, and we got a pool.
So yeah, so you don't have to.
I don't really have to go anywhere.
Gotcha.
So my plans is really just to get there and not have to go to work, not have to go ripping and running, not have to. That's pretty much what I did last year. I went to the house and I think I maybe left out once or twice in 8 days.
But that was awesome, wasn't it?
Oh, it was fabulous. We had a lake out back, and I went out there and just sat outside and just because it's warm and yeah. So those, I mean, even though I still, like I said, mine is low maintenance.
Okay.
So outside of making sure she's dry and fed, there's really not a lot to do with her.
Okay.
I put her, you know, she doesn't sit up very well, so she does spend a lot of time in the bed. I've purchased out of my pocket a lot of different things to be able to help me be able to move her around. I bought a lift chair, which kind of like wraps. I could sit her up in the bed and it fastens around her. Lift her up, and then you strap it and you just pull it out. Yeah. And she's in the chair, and it has like a bedside commode. It has wheels on it. That chair was $800 and some.
Wow.
I just bought like one of the hospital lounge chairs that has the different positions. A friend of mine where he works at, and to be honest with you, I do not know where, but he called me and he was like, "Hey, I got this chair, and I think your mom might be able to use it." Mm-hmm. He sent me pictures. Let me see. Mm-hmm. I looked the chair up. Chair is worth about $500. He sold it to me for $100.
Now, what kind of chair is it? What does it do? It's a good supportive chair while she's sitting up.
While she's sitting up, and I can adjust it where she's not sitting straight up. She can lean back, or she can actually lay back. Her feet it comes out, so her feet come up too. You seen them in the
just lounge type
like
chair.
A lounge type chair that be in the elderly, generally elderly or post-operative when they, because you don't want a person to constantly stay in the bed. You do want to try to get them out because you get the pressure points, you get the different stuff like that.
Do you do exercises with her?
As much as I can.
But that's what you was talking about, trying to get somebody
to come in to help me. You know, it's a lot of stuff that I do, but it would be better if I actually have some help.
Look, do y'all think she needs some help? I think she needs some help.
Lord, yes, I need some help.
What over all this time, T, have you learned that maybe along this journey you didn't know about yourself?
That I had to make myself forgive and let go.
Come on.
Because like I said, my mom didn't take care of me. And even though I thought I was like over it, I really wasn't. Because like I said, it was like, do I want to put my life on hold for somebody that didn't do it for me? And at first I was like, yeah, no. No, but then I got to thinking about her safety and grandma getting me. And God gave me, and I was like, I can't just leave her in that type of situation. So I've learned to let go and learn to it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And people are who they are, and you have to be willing to accept them for who they are
Mm-hmm.
and what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always taught that that was my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Honor thy mother and
That's
father.
it. That's it.
That was drawn in my head,
Mm.
and I think Grandma would get me if I did.
I know that's right, Grandma. We got you for real.
Grandma would come back and got me.
So you've learned about yourself that you can forgive and let go.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
You got to, because otherwise you're gonna be bitter trying to take care of somebody, and it's not gonna work.
That's not gonna work.
That's not gonna
And you're not gonna give the care that's needed during that time.
Exactly. End up being disastrous.
What would you? Does your mom? Does she have dementia too?
She's getting.
You can tell the signs are coming.
What with her is mainly processing body movements, like in that somewhere in the strokes, the disconnection between her brain and telling her legs to move.
Yes.
Or you verbally telling her something, she may try to do. You see her like thinking, trying to do it, but nothing is moving. Nothing is, doing what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So.
And she gets frustrated.
She gets more. She thinks I'm mad.
Oh, okay.
She's more worried about me being mad about stuff.
Yeah.
And I hate. I'm sorry a million times, and don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I understand, but you do not have to apologize to me. Yeah. It's okay. And I do get a little flustered, a little tired, but it's not really at you. It's the situation that, I'm trying to get something done and it's not working. Right. So now it's like, okay, hold on, wait a minute, And with her being blind, she can't see. Yeah. So that's a whole nother level of fear that she's had. She's failed a lot of times with her when she was with her husband. So she has that trust issue. Yes. So even though I've had her as long as I have, she still grabs hold, tenses up, and I have to be like, Mama, you gotta let go. Yeah. Mama, you have to relax. You have to. You gotta let me do this, because it's not that she's fighting against you. She's scared she's gonna fall. Yeah. So, and I'm like, you're in the bed. You can't. Where you gonna fall to? Yeah. So you just gotta be consistent and firm and say what you mean with her. Mama's good as far as she's got a very pleasant attitude. That's so pretty good. Much all the time. That's she does get depressed. I took her off the antidepressants because I don't like what it was doing to her. It made her feel weird. She didn't. You hear that too about those medicines? Yeah, it was a lot. So we don't take that no more. Okay. We talk about stuff. I keep the TV on, funny stuff. Good. So she's laughing and talking and singing with the TV. And so you do see differences in some of the stuff that you have implemented over the years that has gotten her to a better place. Trying to, because when I got her, she watched nothing but, I thought she was trying to kill her husband. But she was watching nothing but like murder shows and Snap, and I love all that. Yeah, but in her mind, she was getting ready to go take her husband. Right. So I had to switch that program. She wasn't too happy about it, but I keep it on shows that she know from back, older shows, and sit there and we laugh and talk about what's going on with the shows. She do need a little more interaction with other people, so that's kind of why, like when we went to North Carolina, that was actually a motorcycle event. Okay. With the coronavirus, I did not bring her out the hotel room, so I kept her in there. But I'm slowly but surely trying to bring her around, other people, so she can have involvement, because she doesn't have friends. That's true. It's not really all of my family is older. They are going through their own medical issues and losing people. And I think it's something here in Indianapolis, because we're in Indianapolis, Indiana, that are like adult daycares or adult things. Have you thought about things like that? I don't believe that she can sit up long enough for that. Okay. But like I said, I'm working on trying to figure out some things and figuring out what we can do to maybe get her a little bit better
Mhm.
because like that coronavirus took her. It took like a few weeks because for a long time she kept telling me I think I'm dying, and I'm like, baby, no, you just feel really really bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it took her all the way down, and she's better. I mean, I can tell that, you know, like now if I tell her to lift up, she's attempting to lift. She doesn't actually do it all the way on her own, but she does, you know, try.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just day by day.
Because it doesn't look the same
Some
every day.
days she can do certain things. Some days she can't. Some days she don't feel good. Don't know why. Don't know how. I check blood pressure good. Sugar good. Can't explain it.
And you already, unfortunately, we have to talk about these things. Is her like living wills and things like that in case something does happen? What you need to do during that time, as far as like arrangements? Have you already started those kind of things?
I have. She has an insurance policy, but as far as
like the planning, all that out. Okay.
We've never done it, and because all she gonna tell me is you. Like I'm the only child. Who else is there? There's me and my 2 children and my grandkids.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to come in and be like, no, you need to, or I want you to do, or there is absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
Have we really talked about it? Other thing we did talk about is like a do not resuscitate.
Things like that.
We did talk about that because there were things, you know, that came to play, so she doesn't want that.
I asked that only because I'm going to do another episode also on grief in our community, and for whatever reason, it's a hard topic to talk about in our community, and we don't want to face it. We don't want to talk about the arrangements, even when we're healthy, and it's an inevitable thing.
It's going to happen,
and we have to be able to. One thing that sort of disturbs me and bothers my heart is to see at the end when our people are not prepared for death. They're not prepared for, like you said, insurance policies, but they got every name brand, every shoe, but they didn't prepare for the inevitable. So that would be a whole nother episode, but I just wanted to see in this situation, is that part of it? Do adult children feel like, hey, you know, maybe this is something we need to talk about because whatever this is going to take us might happen?
I'm lucky on that aspect because I do. Of course, with me being my age, a lot of my friends are taking care of their parents now or having to step in and become with siblings, death, and taking care of your parents and all of that stuff generally ends up being a really sticky, messy situation. I didn't deal with it with my grandmother because we ain't got nothing. I'm gonna be honest. So there's no money to fight over. There's no houses, no cars. There is nothing. So it's all I have to do is bury her,
that's it.
or whatever process she wants.
Yes.
Outside of that, there is nothing for us to fight about. That even if it was somebody, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, and I take care of everything.
Okay, well,
so I don't have that issue, but I have heard a lot of horror stories with siblings battling over their parents and what they got and what they don't have.
It's terrible.
Why you get and why you don't.
It brings out the ugliness, and you know that's going to be a very interesting episode because we're going to walk through all of that. But like I said, I just want everybody to see this. This is Women's History Month. And I tell people all the time that we need to speak things as though they were, and we need to give people their flowers while they're here. And this Sister Queen White here has done such an amazing job with her mother, and just to see her on a day-to-day basis, like she says she has nothing, but she has so much to give in her spirit and in her, and just seeing where she is now from when I first met her.
Oh God.
It's amazing how she's evolved and unfolded. But I just wanted to say gratitude for just being who you are to your mother. You know, being who you are to your loved ones, not only just your mother, your grandmother, like you said, you did it before. And I want people to see that the everyday, day-to-day person and the struggles and the things that they go through, we still need to look at those people and honor them and honor what they give to this world. And that's part of your legacy, which is your caregiving and your caring for your family. And I know that maybe every day you might not hear it, but I honor you and I honor what you're doing. So, you know, Queenship Quarters viewers, please, please, please love on each other. Please make sure if you're encountering this time in life where your parents are aging and it's a struggle of you trying to figure out what to do, you know, reach out to people that you know or you see that is going through the same thing. Do your research like she does. You know, you might not be in that profession, but you can do your research and find things. Google is an amazing thing nowadays.
Amazing.
YouTube is an amazing thing nowadays for our people and for society as a whole. So thank you again, T, for coming. And you guys, thank you for being patient. You know, we had a little snafus here. Doors, phones, you know, usually we don't have that in the podcast, but thank you for being patient. I thank you guys for always supporting Queenship Quarters podcast. And remember, as I always say, Queenship is the air, the energy, and the vibrations of a queen. And it is not just a trend, it is your divine essence. And look forward to other upcoming episodes for Queenship Quarters. Peace, love, and light. See you next time.